We back. Welcome back.
What it do?
Fullcourt Court.
Episode 4.
Sir.
Episode 4, yes, sir. And Toby has a poser background.
Nah. This is tough. This is so tough. And also, shout out to Kyrie Irving. I got my incense.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm in the zone and I'm ready to go.
Well, we'll talk about. I don't know if we're going to talk about the Nets. Actually, talk about a team that played the Nets. But hey, so first off, before we get into any basketball terms, really, there's a lot of nonsense going on with the coronavirus in the league. So we saw Sixers guard Seth Curry, who was sidelined during the Sixers game against Brooklyn this week with an ankle injury. He spent the first quarter of that game on the bench with his teammates. Then at the end of that quarter, he was removed from the game after some team officials told him that he had tested positive for COVID-19. And then on Thursday, when I was watching the Nuggets-Mavericks game, the tweet showed up on the broadcast that said Michael Porter Jr., who was supposed to play in that game, would face an additional 10 to 14 days of quarantine due to health and safety protocols. And then on Saturday, we saw that Celtics forward Jason Tatum tested positive for COVID as well. And he's going to be sidelined for at least 10 days because of that. And there's honestly a whole list of players that I could also mention that have been impacted already, but like it's honestly too long to even go through. So I just mentioned those three players because that was like the big headlines. But I mean, how do you guys expect the NBA to get through this? Because this is getting ridiculous, if we're being honest. It's really crazy how many people have already. We saw how well the NBA bubble worked, but this is not working so far.
Well, I'll let Justin start with this one because I'm interested to hear what he has to say.
Well, I mean, the NFL has been going through it. Seemed to work out fine. Canceling games. I know it's a little unfair for some teams, but the canceling games, rescheduling them, it worked pretty well. But I was reading what you had to say on our little thing, Jorie, and I like the idea of the season having a pause. I came up with a little, just something off the top of my head. Let's say the season were to get paused next Friday, January 15th. The teams finish out those games on Friday, and then they have a 2-3 week pause, and then go into a bubble, go back to the bubble to finish off the season. And the games that would have been played on that Saturday, the 16th, once they get to the bubble, they just start back with the season right where they left off. They don't have to reschedule anything. Don't got to do nothing. Just transfer everybody back to the bubble. I mean, it's not really realistic, but it's an option.
Right. So I want to start off by saying the one thing that I don't understand is how a player can be in the game on the sideline.
Yeah.
And then be removed in the middle of the game. Like, I thought they would test players before they even showed up to the arena. But one thing I want to add is perhaps with the new vaccines that are coming out, maybe we'll see some lower numbers. And I feel like we see how the NFL is going right now. Obviously, they have way more players than the NBA does, but they're managing pretty much just fine. I mean, they had a few cases, but they're still going strong, and I don't think that coronavirus will have too much of an impact going forward for the NBA season.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I did mention like pausing the season, but the thing with that is the league specifically wanted to start before Christmas, before the new year, so that they could, fix the schedule after the NBA bubble experiment and how that kind of messed up the whole league schedule. So I don't really know if that's possible. I think they're just going to power through it. But yeah, Toby, what you said, the fact that Seth Curry could be at the game and like not knowing whether or not he has COVID or not. Like we saw that in the World Series with oh gosh, I don't remember his name. Who he tested positive like in the middle of the game, and then he came back to celebrate with the team when they won.
Right.
Justin Turner.
After they literally told him, yes, you have COVID, he came back and celebrated with the team. It was crazy. So yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I feel like with my bubble theory, I don't think the schedule would change too much, because if they just basically postpone the season 2 weeks, it's just 2 weeks back.
Yeah.
Like it's not changing the schedule of the teams, but it'd be hard to fit the whole league in the bubble.
Justin Turner, that's who it was.
I think if they did a bubble, it would have to be for the playoff.
On the Dodgers.
It would have to be for the playoff team.
Yeah, maybe.
But a lot of players said
I also think it's just, these are grown men. They need to be more responsible with this COVID. They can't be going out to the clubs and doing all the stuff that they're doing.
Facts.
It's
shout out to James Harden.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, obviously it's him, but a lot of players are doing it. And Adam Silver might need to step up with the fines. He might have to make the fines more, give out suspensions without pay, stuff like that. Make the players, want to stay home.
We have seen players forced to miss games, like Kevin Durant, because of, I guess, they were in close contact with someone with COVID.
Mm-hmm.
It's still so weird that it would take those precautions, but still allow Seth Curry in the game, even though, I don't know, that part's a little weird to me, but I think they have the right idea with sitting player, like forcing players to sit if they're in close contact with someone with COVID.
Yeah, it's weird, man. I think Bam Adebayo and someone else on the Heat, and Avery Bradley, I think. I don't remember who it was. They're going to be out for a while too. I don't know. It's weird. It's really crazy. This whole thing. I don't know. I don't know if they can do a bubble again though.
We're also only a week or two into the season. Like, we still have a lot of season to go. I don't know what they're going to do.
And that's another thing. That's why like these records look so weird, probably, because there's games where, like, literally the game with the Nuggets against the Sixers after like this whole thing, the Sixers had like 7 people on their team. And that's why Tyrese Maxey almost had like 40, because he was like the only player that could do anything like on offense for them. It's just like, you never know.
Yeah, but shout out to him. Way to step up.
Yeah,
man.
Tyrese Maxey, man. You never know like who's going to be playing in these games because of this. So it's weird. All right, well, this is something that you two wanted to add and talk about. Also about the Sixers. So after their best start since the 2000-2001 season, the Sixers lost to the Brooklyn Nets on Thursday. That was the Seth Curry game. In a game that Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant did not play. And Ben Simmons finished with just 11 points. He shot 4 of 13 from the field, 2 assists, and 5 turnovers. So, and you guys said that he's the most overrated player in the league. I think that's what you said, Toby. But
yeah, that's what Toby said. I didn't say all that.
Do you think, is Ben Simmons really overrated?
I think so. And maybe I was being a little too harsh when I might have said that he's the most overrated player. But he is not at the level that people put him in a box, and because of his raw talent, I feel like his game hasn't really progressed as much as people thought it was going to be, even though he's still young. One of the main reasons why, and I know he's a great defender and all that, but he doesn't score. I mean, he scores, but he hasn't scored more than 17 points per game in a season. And I'll throw us out some names that in the 2019-2020 season had higher points per game, such as Terry Rozier, Kelly Oubre, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Marcus Morris. Now we can all agree that Ben Simmons is better than all those players.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't put him at an elite all-star level. I would say he's closer to the range of Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday being a all defense, maybe not with the best, but he's still impactful. And I think if you replace Ben Simmons with other point guards in the league, the Sixers would be a better team.
Justin, where do you stand?
I think he might be a bit overrated. I have some of his stats here. I have his career stats and his this season stats. Career stats, he's averaging just over 16 points per game, just about 8 assists, just over 8 rebounds, shooting 56% from the field and 59 from the free throw line. And this year, he's averaging 13.4, a career low at the moment, 7 assists, 8.8 rebounds, shooting a career low 50.6% and almost 61 from the free throw line. But players on his team that are averaging more, Seth Curry is having a career year averaging 17, Embiid's averaging 24, Toby's averaging 19, and Shake Milton is even averaging 14. So I don't think being a scorer is necessarily his role. He's always been a passer and a facilitator. I think he makes his team better with the way he's playing right now. He's making everybody get involved. And also he's a giant, like he's a mismatch anywhere, like at any position on the floor. So I feel like teams have to make a defensive game plan for him, even though he's not a scorer.
The thing with Ben Simmons is like, for someone who was a former number 1 overall pick and someone who's deemed a perennial all-star, yeah, he's not an elite level scorer. But when you compare him to other players like that, it just diminishes his value so much, because he's not an okay defender. He's literally one of the best defenders in the NBA. And he averaged 8.2 assists per game as a rookie. He helped the Sixers go from winning 28 games to 52 games in one season. So like what Justin said, his role is not to put the ball in the basket, because that's what he has Joel Embiid in for. He now has Seth Curry, Tobias Harris. Everyone else can do that, and he just has a certain role, but everyone expects him to do more because he was drafted so high and other things. So I don't know. I think it's unfair to call him overrated.
So another thing I want to add is his shooting liability, or his whole scoring liability is something that a championship team has never succeeded with their second best player not being, a top scorer. Just look at the past 20 years and look at the championship teams. Maybe the Raptors. I don't know how many points Kyle Lowry and Van Vliet scored, but I think the second best player on a championship team has to be able to get buckets with will whenever his team needs him to.
I can agree with you on that, Toby, because the other players on the Sixers who are, playing pretty well right now, besides Embiid, can't really make a shot for themselves. I guess Toby's got a nice little post game he can pull up, but like Seth Curry's really just a 3-point shooter. I mean, he can take it to the rack, but I kind of agree with you with that aspect. The championship team definitely needs a scorer as the second option or the second best player on the team. But people are still scared of Ben Simmons, even though he can't score. People are like, "Oh yeah, we got to play Ben Simmons tonight." Like, ew.
But the thing is, like, I mean, his defenders just sag off on him. Like, even when Jared Dudley was on the Nets guarding him in that first round playoff series, like, it just makes it harder for everyone else around him because it's lack of space for the floor. And even though he can drive to the hole and dish it, I don't know. I think he needs to get some sort of shooting game.
I don't know, but if Spencer was here, he would be on your side, Toby, as Ben Simmons being highly overrated. As someone at his size and playing the point guard position, I do think he needs to just sometimes just say, you know what, I gotta step up right now and just take it to the rack every time. Like, he could do it. He could score on anybody who's guarding him every time if he wanted to.
I don't know about that.
I think it's because of the expectation that he came into the league with. Everyone deemed him the next LeBron James because he's like a point forward, basically. But like I hate that. Like, I hate when everyone always gets compared to LeBron. Like, if you're an athletic wing or like an athletic like player with size, you're gonna get compared to LeBron. It's so annoying. And I'm like, he's really more of like Draymond, honestly.
Yeah.
Like someone who's like a facilitator, but not necessarily a point guard, and someone who's locked down on defense and isn't necessarily going to like stretch the floor. But if you surround him with other talent, he's going to make everyone better. Like, that's what you're seeing now with Draymond coming back to the Warriors. Like, before they had Draymond, you saw how bad the Warriors looked. And now that they have him back, they're like winning everything. They just came back from like 22 against the Clippers.
Yeah, well, that's just the
He
Clippers
just makes
being
everyone
the
better.
Clippers. That's just the Clippers being the Clippers right there.
I don't think he's an all-star.
Maybe not this year, but he's been an all-star 2 times already. And he was an all-defensive first-team selection last season.
True.
Well, let's talk maybe a future all-star. We saw for the first time on Friday the Ball brothers face off, LaMelo and Lonzo, in that game where the Charlotte Hornets defeated the New Orleans Pelicans 118-110. LaMelo finished with 12 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists. And then a day later became the youngest player in NBA history to record a triple-double against the Hawks. Lonzo finished with just 5 points, 2 rebounds, and 3 assists. So the younger brother got the best of him. But I guess, what did you see in that matchup, I guess? And what have you liked from LaMelo so far? And who do you think is going to be, or who do you think will have a better career?
I want to hear what Toby has to say because he's in love with LaMelo Ball.
All right, I'm not in love with LaMelo Ball, but I don't know. He's different. He's so different. And the reason I love LaMelo Ball is because his game is centered around facilitating to all of his teammates. I mean, even when he's just dribbling down the court, he's doing some spazzy type, just spazzing out with the ball and just making the defender, on their back feet. Ultimately, what I saw in that match versus Pelicans versus the Hornets, LaMelo Ball is the better ball brother. Ultimately, when it comes down to it, and you'll see in a few years. I mean, LaMelo Ball, he's a better scorer, even at this young age. He gets rebounds just as good as Zoe. He can facilitate just as good, if not better than Zoe. I think defensively, that's where Lonzo has him, but
although I feel like LaMelo on defense is actually not as bad as people made it out to be. Everyone made it out to be like, oh, he's going to be the worst defender in the league. He sucks. He can't play defense. But like, really, because he's so smart, like that's the same way why Lonzo is so good on defense, because he's just like, his basketball IQ is so high. So he just knows where to be everywhere.
And he doesn't get too many turnovers either, which is something that a lot of young players struggle with. I think he's averaging 2 turnovers this year, with plenty of minutes coming off the bench. And each game I see him, his scoring, he looks like scoring gets easier and easier for him. He's figuring out the game pretty fast. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in the All-Star game next year.
Well, I don't know how to feel here, because I had Lonzo as one of my most improved candidates, and I also really like LaMelo. But Lonzo, even in high school, he could have literally scored every possession if he wanted to. But Lonzo, he was still looking to dish it even in high school. Even when LaMelo was in 8th grader playing on varsity, he was still letting LaMelo get the ball. Like, that's also why LaMelo might be better, because he was the youngest out of 3 brothers. He had to learn how to score on people who were more experienced, bigger, better defenders. So he's just been doing it. He's just been doing it since he was a kid. He knows how to do it. He played overseas, a professional, and he was only like 15, 16. Like, he knows, LaMelo knows how to get it done. Lonzo, he's just, I don't know what's wrong with this guy. I mean, he fixed his jumper from when he shot it like over here on the left side of his face. He wasn't able to create a shot like that, because if you think about it, let's say he's dribbling to the right and he pulls up and he shoots like that on the left side of his face. The defender is most likely going to be on the left side of his body. So he fixed his jumper, and he's been expanding his game. He's hitting that mid-range pull-up. He's hitting those floaters, I think Lonzo can still figure it out, but I do think LaMelo's the real deal. He's the best ball brother.
Ooh.
I think Lonzo is similar to Ben Simmons in the sense that he's going to just be a guy that's like there goes my dog. He's going to be a guy that's like just good in a role and make his teammates better, Like, he plays next to Zion and Brandon Ingram, so those two are obviously like the stars of the team. So he's never really going to like kind of be put in front of those two. I just think LaMelo has like a better role with the Hornets, because in a certain amount of time, like, he's just going to be their star player, because that's what he was drafted to be, really. Like, right now he's coming off the bench, but he's like basically playing like starter minutes off the bench. So I feel like LaMelo, I mean, I have to agree, he's probably going to be better.
He should start over Devontae Graham.
Toby, you've been talking about these Hornets, saying they're going to make it to the playoffs. I don't know about all that, but I am liking this Hornets team. They are very fun to watch. This young core is very fun to watch. I
don't disagree with you in that they can make the playoffs. I think they could certainly make the playoffs, because when you have, I feel like people sleep on Gordon Hayward way too much. Like, that signing was
even forgot he was there.
It's because he got paid so much. That's why. Like, that's why everyone was losing their minds when he went there, is because they gave him so much money. But like, he's a good player. Like,
he's been balling out.
Yeah, LaMelo obviously has been outstanding to start as a rookie. And you got like Terry Rozier, I don't think Devontae Graham.
Terry is a highlight reel. He's dunking on anybody.
And Devontae Graham hasn't even been playing as well as he was last year.
I think that's probably because of LaMelo. Like, he somewhat like just took that role from Devontae,
I mean, he's still starting.
Yeah, but like, when you have 3 guards like that, like, you can't, like, I don't think all of them can really thrive. especially at the rate that Devontae Graham did last year.
And don't forget about Miles Bridges. He's
Yeah,
disgusting.
exactly. Miles Bridges, PJ Washington, like they have a nice young
The
team.
Martin twins.
Yeah.
Don't
Shout out
sleep
to
on the
PJ
Martin
Washington.
twins.
And shout out to PJ Washington.
They got a nice
Just-
team.
just
MJ
'cause.
is MJ, man. He's building up Charlotte nice.
I can't believe people were saying he's the worst owner in sports. Well, we all know who that is.
James Dolan.
Yes.
Hey, chill.
Oh, damn.
And I'm pretty sure you said it yourself, Justin. at one
Oh
point.
yeah, I mean yeah, but I'm a Knicks fan. I can't say that.
Damn.
True. Not right now. Your team is low key balling out.
Well,
Facts.
I don't want to get my hopes up because every time I do, they always break my heart.
But I want to add one more thing. So you know that Lonzo didn't accept his contract offering from the Pelicans. Does that mean that there's a possibility we could see 2 of the 3 Ball brothers on the same team next year?
No way, man. Nah.
Not yet. I don't think at this point they'd get it
Why
done.
not?
Because they already have 3 point guards. Why would they need Lonzo?
All right. So obviously they can trade their assets. I mean, it is a
Why
business.
would you trade though? If he's just gonna leave, you wouldn't trade for him.
No. I mean, like trade. They could trade Devontae Graham. They could trade Terry Rozier.
You mean
then-
after they get it? Yeah, after they sign him. You mean?
Yeah, and then they could just put Lonzo at LaMelo at shooting guard and Lonzo at the point guard.
Is it really worth it though? Because Terry Rozier and
Yes.
Devontae Graham might be better than Lonzo.
It's worth it, bro. It's worth it. You have to
so.
try it. They have to play
Nah.
with each other at one point in their career.
I mean, nah, it would be tough. It would be super tough. It would be so cool to watch, but like, I don't know. I feel like people don't realize how great that high school team was. Their Chino Hills team.
Yeah.
Like, I legitimately don't think people understand like how crazy that run was that they had because
3
they literally
NBA players on that one team. Like
they had Onyeka on that team, Lonzo, LaMelo, and LiAngelo. I don't remember who the 5th guy was in their starting lineup, but like they legitimately like beat like top 5 teams by like 30 points like every night.
Yeah.
Like they just trounced like the best teams in the country like easily. Like it wasn't even like they literally would just like put up 30 points in the first quarter.
Well,
it was nuts.
I remember what LeVar Ball said. He said, if you put all 3 of the Ball brothers on the same team, they're going to win a championship because they have so much playing experience with each other growing up that they're just in sync with each other and they all have their specific role.
NBA is different though. I don't know. It's different.
I hope the one reason I want Lonzo to go to to Charlotte so that LeVar and MJ could become friends.
Ooh.
I mean, they already got LaMelo there.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they've had some conversations already.
Jello's in the G League. Who knows?
What team is he playing for in the G League?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's like a draft. He's like in a bubble. So.
Oh yeah, I heard. I don't know exactly what.
There were a
was
couple
about,
of players who are going into the G League. Lance Stevenson was one of them.
Really?
Yeah, I can't remember where I saw it. I think it might have been Bleacher Report, but there was Lance Stevenson and somebody else who was like, half decent NBA player. They're just going to the G League just because, like, I don't think Lance Stevenson's that bad to not be on an NBA roster. I feel like he's the type of guy who's just like, yeah, let's go, just go tear up the G League.
I think Jeremy Lin also is going to the G League this year. I feel like the G League could be so much like better than what it is, Like I feel like the NBA needs to utilize the G League more.
Better. I mean,
high school players are going right to there. That guy, is it
Yeah,
Jalen Green?
exactly.
Is that who it is?
Jalen Green, Jonathan Kuminga, Isaiah Todd. There's one more.
Jonathan Kuminga.
Like all of them could go like in the lottery, and they all decided to go to the G League instead of college.
I think it's a better look. You get more experience against
They
grown
should,
men
like-
faster.
Yeah, they should like try and like the way that baseball uses the minor leagues. They should do the same thing. Like imagine just having like a high school prospect like in your organization for like 3 or 4 years and then bringing him up. He'd be like ready to play immediately when like it's, you know,
That's kind of what they do.
Like-
but they just pick.
in the G League.
Well, I mean, they just pick the players that are performing the best in the G League. Like, I wouldn't want to see Anthony Edwards start his first 2 seasons in the G League and then come up.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah, but I'm like
I'm saying like
late
instead
first
of going to
rounders.
college.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I feel like it could be better than what it is. I think they're getting there.
They're getting there. Adam Silver knows what he's doing.
Wow. Miles Powell's got to go to the G League, dude.
He is in the G League. I think he's on the Knicks G League team.
Really?
I think we sent him down. Yeah. Which I think will be good. I think him and who's that other guy on the Knicks G League team?
I know who you're talking about.
Hold on. I gotta look this up. You guys talk about something. I'll figure this out.
So how about those Nuggets?
Don't even get me started on them. I was gonna add that to this little rundown, but no.
Didn't they just beat the
Like-
Sixers though, or did they lose?
No, they beat them, but that again, that was a game where the Sixers had like 8 players or 7 players, so it's like that's the second time that they've done that, where they face a team where they're super hampered because of COVID. They did that against the Rockets.
How's Jamal Murray doing? I don't even know, to be honest.
Like he's doing like okay.
Isn't he?
Found that guy.
Oh, who's-
Lamar Peters. Disgusting. Him and Miles Powell would tear up the G League. They're going to. I'm telling you, they're going to do it.
Yeah. Well,
Lamar Peters. Look him up. Everybody watching Lamar Peters.
No, I'm not looking up Lamar Peters.
He's a dog. He's a dog.
Isn't that the guy that's like 6 foot?
Oh yeah, I don't know. Probably short, really short.
Why not? Short players
Lamar-
are nice though.
shout out Lamar Jackson.
Shout out to Peyton Pritchard.
Shout out Lamar Jackson.
No,
Oh.
not
Getting the help.
not Peyton Pritchard. Yes, Big Lamar silencing all the haters. He can play in the playoffs.
Nah, he's gonna lose.
Well, another rookie. I didn't even know about this, to be honest, because I feel like he hasn't been getting covered at all this year. Killian Hayes, he suffered a torn labrum in his right hip during a game against the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, I really haven't heard like anything about Killian Hayes, despite the fact that he was drafted 7th overall this year. It's the same injury that LaMarcus Aldridge suffered in college during his freshman year at Texas. And I think it's the same injury that Tua, for all the NFL fans, Tua Tagovailoa, Miami Dolphins quarterback, he tore a portion of his labrum while at Alabama in 2019. But both of them, I mean, it didn't necessarily affect them too much. I mean, LaMarcus Aldridge obviously had an all-star career, and then Tua, he just got drafted 5th overall. So it hasn't necessarily affected them that much, but I mean, what do you make of this for Killian Hayes?
Sucks. I was
Oh my-
I was excited to watch that guy play because I thought he was gonna be nice, and he tore his
I think it's way too early to really judge that guy.
obviously, but I was excited to see what he's got going.
This is exactly the thing that I was like thinking about with like Ben Simmons, is that when you compare, this is exactly what I mean. When you compare him or any player to anyone else, and generally it happens with other players who get drafted like in the same draft class. So like for the rest of his career, Killian Hayes is going to get compared to like LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, whoever else, when in reality it's like he's just another player in the league. And yeah, he had a bad start to his career and he's injured now, but like doesn't mean he's going to be a bad player just because he's not putting up triple doubles like LaMelo, you know?
And another thing, I hate when people call players who get injured busts because, in my opinion, a bust is someone who doesn't live up to their expectations at all. But having it taken away from him, he can't really do anything about it.
Exactly.
And we saw Isaiah Thomas have this injury a few years ago when he was with the Celtics, and he didn't really come back as the same player. Some people say it's because of the system he was in, but it's tough. There's no answers as to who he's going to come back as. Is he going to be a good starter on a team, or is he going to be a bench player? Who knows?
I mean, I like the point. Oh, go ahead, Justin.
Oh, okay. I just think he's on the Pistons. Like he's on the Detroit Pistons. They're a pretty terrible team. I think it's just a bit disappointing. You don't even average 5 a game, especially playing behind D Rose and playing for a former to the. I mean, they have other guys. They have Blake Griffin, Jeremy Grant, who's playing great, but I don't know. It's just you hate to see a young guy, especially in the first 10 games of their career, you go down with an injury. But I didn't get the exact quote, but Dwayne Casey, speaking of that, former coach of the year, he was like, if Killian Hayes can take the time while he's rehabbing to really learn the offense, study film, keep up with the coaches, he could learn, I guess, how to play it, and then he can take the knowledge and, develop the skills that he needs to, bounce back.
Yeah, that was a point I was just going to say. The thing that you mentioned, Justin, like this rehab process could help him a lot because, again, it'll give him time to learn the game a little bit, work out the kinks. And
I think that's what helped Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. They both missed the first couple of years of their career based off injuries, and
immediately
they got in the game and they were ready to go immediately.
Yeah. So that's good. Yeah.
Embiid only played like 30 games and they were ready to give that guy an MVP or something like that.
I think it was because the Sixers were so bad.
Yeah,
like the Sixers was like it's really crazy to think that the Sixers were once like the worst team like in the league. And now
they had like one of the worst 3 records of all time.
Yeah. Like they were like before Embiid and Simmons, like they were horrible. Like they were so bad. Now they're just
that was a sad time.
Yeah.
When they weren't on that losing streak. I forget how many games they lost, but
trust the process.
Pretty sure they broke the record, or maybe it was the Bobcats.
It's just the process. That's all Killian Hayes got to do.
Exactly.
I mean, hey, look at the Nets a few years ago. The Nets' best player was Yogi Ferrell. Now look at us. We're balling out.
Yogi Ferrell.
I mean, he's like he's kind of like Luka. Not obviously he's not as nice, but he's been playing in France, I think, right? He was playing in France against grown men since he was a kid. Like he knows how to play basketball. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah. International prospects. I feel like that's why I feel like that's another thing. Everyone thought he was going to be so much better because he was an international prospect. And everyone thinks, like, because we've seen it so often, like with Luka and Kristaps, like they'll immediately come over and be like superstars. But like when in reality, they're still like 18 and they need time to grow. Not everyone is going to be an MVP in their second season. So I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. Well, this is a interesting. I guess we can keep moving forward. Another Eastern Conference.
Another trash team.
Yeah, exactly. The Pistons and the Wizards currently have the worst record, tied for the worst record in the NBA. The Wizards, Bradley Beal, he totaled 101 points in 2 losses against the Sixers and the Celtics this past week. And after his 60-point performance, which was a career high against the Sixers, he told reporters that he was, quote, pissed off after his career high could not save them from a loss. And I found a stat that Bradley Beal has scored 40 or more points 24 times in his career, and the Wizards are 6-18 in those games. So, yeah, not very good. So, I mean, they already traded John Wall, obviously, to Houston. Do you think it's time for Bradley Beal to get out of Washington?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think he should go? I have a destination.
All right, I want to hear what you have to say.
I like this story. I saw it. I really like this.
I actually did this. I did this myself. I found my own trade. I said he should go to Dallas. He go to Dallas, and this would be a trade. They should send Beal, only Beal, to Dallas for Tim Hardaway Jr., Dorian Finney-Smith, Tyrell Terry, who they just drafted, Josh Green, who they also just drafted, and then 2 first-round picks.
Hell no.
Hell no.
If I'm the Wizards, I'm not doing that.
Tim Hardaway Jr. is a bucket. He's a spark.
Yes, sir.
He's a bucket. I don't know
who else is a bucket? Bradley Beal.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not helping the Wizards.
It's not working out.
Yeah, exactly. It's not.
All right, so you think Tim Hardaway Jr. is going to save them?
I think no, I'm not. I'm just saying, like, in terms of the Washington, like, maybe there's some better trades out there, but like, wouldn't you want 2 young players who have yet to prove themselves, who they just drafted, who everyone is saying has a lot of potential, in Tyrell Terry and Josh Green? Like, that could be a backcourt. That could be a starting backcourt in a few years. 2 first-round picks.
Have a way bigger role.
2 first-round picks that could potentially, if it all falls apart in Dallas, be pretty valuable. And then 2 veterans in Tim Hardaway Jr. and Dorian Finney-Smith that can just play roles for Washington. Like, what? For 1 player? Yeah, it's Bradley Beal, but like,
yeah.
I feel like that's how a lot of
Russ.
I feel like that's how a lot of those superstar trades end up going anyway, where it's like,
I feel bad for us.
Why do you feel bad for Russ?
Because he just got traded, and now he's in a worse position than he was before, and now they're about to trade his only other competent teammate.
He wanted to get traded.
Yeah, but
he didn't want to get traded necessarily to Washington.
And think about it, Toby. If they do trade Beal and then they get all these pieces back, it's not like they're going to be any better or worse than they already are. They're already terrible. Like,
yeah, might as well just bite the bullet.
This is also them just blowing it up.
Yeah, exactly. Why wouldn't they just blow it up at this point? Like,
just invest in your young guys.
That's what I'm saying.
You also have Rui Hachimura on that team. You have Denny Avdia. Like, this is them just getting as many young players as possible and just building for the future. That's what I think.
I like that, Jorie.
All right, I hear you there, but I think there's a lot of other. I just feel like they could get.
Where do you think he should go then? Where do you think he should go then? Where do you think Bradley Beal should go?
So I took a while to think about this one because Bradley Beal is a special player. He can help any team. He can push a team to a championship team. Now, a team that I think really needs help and have shown that they are capable of winning is the Miami Heat. I think the Heat have the assets to acquire Bradley Beal. And here is who I think they would be willing to trade.
Oh my gosh.
Tyler Hero.
Yeah, I knew
They'll never trade Tyler Hero.
They should.
I think they would for Bradley Beal. I think they would.
Listen to this trade, okay?
Is that it? That's all? Okay. Just Tyler Hero, just straight up? No. Bradley Beal for Tyler Hero?
Tyler Hero. Get rid of Kendrick Nunn.
Okay.
And throw in like one of their third shitty players, like Kelly Olynyk.
And that's it? Just 3 guys?
No, no. They get to keep Duncan Robinson. They give them, a few draft picks down the line. And now they have two very high ceiling young players, multiple draft picks, and they're in a lot better shape than if they had Tim Hardaway Jr. and whoever the hell else he said.
Damn.
But listen,
Are they though?
you put Bradley Beal in Miami Heat, they're going to the finals again.
What would that lineup be? It would be who? Dragic,
They would
Beal,
still have Dragic.
Jimmy Butler, Bam.
And then if they trade Kelly Olynyk, if they keep him, then it would be him. But
Who's their power?
that's the one thing they need is a big man.
Precious.
And a lot of teams need a big man, but
What about
they
Precious?
just need. He's good. He's good too. He's coming off the bench though, and so is Duncan Robinson. But
Really?
well, no, I'm saying if they had Bradley Beal,
Oh yeah.
but that team is just a bunch of clampers. Like they just clamp up, and then you put a high versatile scorer on that team, and they're looking really dangerous.
The thing with Dallas is that I feel like, I mean, I'm really looking at it more from Dallas's point of view than Washington. Like Washington is going to get screwed in a Bradley Beal trade. Like there's no way that they get the value back because whenever you trade a superstar, you're just not going to get it. Like, I mean, we've seen that time and
Not
time
necessarily
again.
true. That's not necessarily true.
Who has won like a superstar? Who can you like
The
genuinely?
Boston Celtics, when they gave us Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and
Okay, but that was like
fucking-
It took
washed-
years.
That
Took
was like
years.
washed Paul Pierce. That was like 34.
exactly.
Okay, well that's not like a player entering his prime who's like an all-star, all NBA caliber player getting traded. Like whenever that happens.
I would say Beal is in the prime of his career right now, in the middle of his prime.
I mean, how old
I
is
think
he?
How old is he?
26, right? He's like 26. Or like 20.
I think he's a little older than that.
He's been in the league since 2012. And I
Let me check.
know that.
He's 27.
Was it you, Toby? You were the one who was saying the Wizards are going to make the playoffs.
I thought so at the beginning of the year, but then I realized
I mean,
outside of Westbrook and Beal.
So did I.
I was just going to say if they just made the playoffs, Beal, I think he'd be happy. I don't think he'd want to leave, even if they never won anything. If he could just get to the playoffs consistently, I think he'd be fine.
Yeah, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean,
This was
I mean, Rui's nice. I like Rui.
yeah. I agree.
I came up with two possible trade thingers, but not as in depth as you, Jorie. I just kind of threw it together based off of who's on the roster. I keep saying, I probably said this in every episode. These Milwaukee Bucks got to get this man Giannis some help. I think
you sleep on that supporting cast.
Nah,
Chris Middleton is tough. Like he's tough.
I was just gonna say everybody on the Bucks except for Giannis and Middleton is on the trade board. Like they could get rid of anybody and
Drew Holiday?
Holiday. You got to.
I think. Well, if they had Drew Holiday in the trade, they wouldn't have to get rid of as much.
I like what the Bucks have. I like what
But I was thinking they could do. I mean, this doesn't really make as much sense as you, Jorie, just because I was just throwing players out there. But they could get rid of Torrey Craig, Dante DiVincenzo, Lopez, or Portis, and some picks. Get Bradley Beal, and then they would win. They would win the finals for the next 5 years.
I mean, if they
and
had
another one, this was just me. This was just me being me. Beal to the Knicks. Beal to the Knicks.
No.
I like what the Knicks have.
Trade. No. We gotta slim down the roster a little bit. We got too many guys who we don't know what to do with. We got too many guys who all can do the same thing. And
all right, how are you going about this though?
getting rid of. We're just getting rid of everybody. We're trading anybody and anybody. We're getting rid of Burks. We're getting rid of Knox. We're getting rid of Nerlens. We're getting rid of Frank. We're getting rid of DSJ. getting rid of picks. We'll
I don't know.
get rid of anybody.
I would
Anybody
get rid
that
of all
isn't
those players also.
anybody that isn't RJ, Mitch, Obi, or Emmanuel Quickly is out of here. Even Randall. I can get rid of Randall for Bradley Beal.
Randall, really?
Yes, sir.
He's literally been LeBron James.
Well, I've been trying to trade that guy anyway, so Obi could play.
Do you think
He's injured?
Do you think Julius Randle is like a part of your future, or do you think he's a trade asset?
I don't know.
Like,
I thought he was a trade asset,
mind.
but then he's exactly that's what I'm saying. I thought he was a trade asset, but now he's an all NBA first team player right now.
Justin, I'll tell you this. I once too thought D'Angelo Russell was going to be a future net legend, right?
Yeah.
Even though I think he still is, but you can see how quickly in a season or two a team can turn from shitty to like a possible playoff contender to like trying to compete for the finals.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Trade Randall, get Beal. Starting lineup would be Peyton, Beal, RJ. I mean, if we get rid of Randall, then we get rid of him and we have Obi. But then Mitch. That's an Eastern Conference bound team. Eastern Conference Finals bound team, baby. Yes, sir.
No.
I think you gotta build with what you have right now. I like what you guys have. I like what you're building.
Yeah.
I think what Toby said earlier when he was like the Nets way of rebuilding is better than like we were talking about the Minnesota Timberwolves yesterday. Like the way they rebuild, everyone thinks, oh, well, they have Cat, they have D'Lo, they had Andrew Wiggins at one point, they have Anthony Edwards now. Like, yeah, it's nice to have like a collection of really high draft picks, but like if your team never wins and your star players like never know what winning is like, then you're just never like they're never going to be a good team. So like Bradley Beal, like I don't know if bringing in a guy who's lost, who hasn't even made the playoffs, and since I don't know when, since he had John Wall with him, like yeah, it would be fun, but like I don't know how much it raises the Knicks ceiling.
The problem with your theory, Justin, is I think Bradley Beal isn't the number one guy for your team, for a team. You know what I'm saying?
You don't think he can be the number one guy?
That's why I think he should go to Dallas, play with Luka. Those two would literally be amazing.
I just don't.
And then they get Kristaps back. Like, nah, those three.
I just don't think it's realistic.
I like your trade the best story. I do, but I was just thinking of teams that like the Bucks need. I think they need that other guy, that second or third guy who can just put up buckets. And I think
the Bucks' biggest problem is their depth.
I just wanted to throw him on the Knicks, just because like.
You know what I was thinking though?
What?
What if this would be scary for me? If somehow the 76ers.
I thought you were going to say the Nets.
Yeah.
No, but
do the same thing you were going to do with Harden, but with Beal.
Nah, we don't need him. But if the 76ers.
If you went to the Sixers, though, yeah.
What if they traded Ben Simmons for him, though?
I don't think it's.
That's the thing with the all these Sixers trades is that everyone wants to move Ben Simmons when in reality, like,
he's the
I feel like
thing they got to keep.
It makes more sense to keep Ben Simmons than it does Embiid.
No.
Why?
No.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
It makes more sense. Because the Embiid is the better player, everyone's like, no, you got to keep Embiid. But like when in reality, like the James Harden trade, like it makes so much more sense to have Ben Simmons with James Harden than it does Embiid.
No.
It does because Embiid is not like a pick and roll center. Like he's not a lob catching center like people think he is.
That's what they're turning him into. Doc Rivers said they're going to do a whole bunch of.
But if you have Embiid, like if you have Embiid is literally like the best center in the league outside of probably Jokic.
I said it.
So why would you want him only catching lobs? Like let him do what he can do.
But Jorie.
Instead, you could have Ben Simmons doing exactly the same thing.
But Jorie. The thing is, Harden has has never, I think I said this in a previous episode, but he's never really played with an elite big man.
Guy played with Dwight Howard.
Yeah, but we all know that wasn't the
But
Orlando
I'm telling
Magic.
you, I don't think it would work. I think it makes more sense to have Ben Simmons. Same thing with Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal, like, keep Ben Simmons. I think you guys sleep on Ben Simmons way too much.
No,
Like he's just
way too high on him.
Nah, he's just like a perfect glue guy. Like, and he does it at an all-star level.
No, because he adds a weird dynamic to his game that everybody else has to adapt to.
That's not even true. He adapts to everyone else. That's what he does. He adapts to everything else around him. That's why the Sixers. Nah, you sleep.
Remember, bro, Jared Dudley was locking him up in the playoffs, and Jared Dudley was like, yeah, he's a great player, but when he's inside that half court, I mean, I think he said he was a great like fast break player, but when you put him in the half court where he has to run plays and stuff, he's just not the guy. He's just not it.
Well, then he's not a point guard, and they need to get an actual point guard in there. I think that's his problem. I'm telling you, he's just like everyone sees him as a point guard, but he's really like LeBron James, for example. Wait, what?
He's positionless.
Yeah, I know, but like LeBron, I'm not comparing him to LeBron, but like LeBron throughout his career has always had a point guard. Like he always played with a point guard. And up until like last year, basically, when he ran point guard for the Lakers. But like he always had like, even, early Cavs days, he had point guard. When he went to the Heat, he had like Mario Chalmers running point guard. And then he came to Cleveland.
Mario Chalmers doesn't count as a point guard. I mean,
he was a point guard though. That's what it was.
He sucks.
But he had a point guard though. That's what I'm saying. He wasn't running the point guard himself. Ben Simmons has to do that. And I'm like, if you let Ben Simmons just play like a role like LeBron where he can still handle the ball but has another player that can do that.
I think that would probably make him a little worse.
Because think about it. No. He has only shooters around him and then Embiid. Like no one can like take the ball out of his hands. Like you just said, he's not a player that can like play in the half court. Why would you not want someone that can do that?
Because
on the team with him? Like what?
Because when he doesn't have the ball, he's not a huge threat. You know what I mean?
Got is a little
I disagree.
Cut, catch the lob.
Yeah.
Finish the lay. He's not going to be able to shoot.
He's just going to be kind of standing there in the post, maybe setting picks.
I think he could be effective with and without the ball.
Ben Simmons would be nice on a team like the Warriors where there's a lot of off-ball movement, a lot of,
Ben Simmons would be perfect for
plays, and I don't know. But that would be the worst thing to ever happen in the league since KD went there. So
Ben Simmons and Lonzo Ball need to go to the Warriors.
Stop.
Imagine that. Steph Curry, Lonzo Ball, Ben Simmons, Draymond Green, James Wiseman.
Two of the best shooters in the league, and then two of the worst shooters.
Oh my God.
That would be too weird.
Well, I mean, is there anything else you guys have you want to talk about?
Nets are going to win the 2021 NBA Finals.
Cold take.
That's all I wanted to say.
Oh, he's cold.
Well, the Knicks play.
I didn't have nothing.
I guess
Bradley to the Knicks.
Yeah,
we're playing right now. We better slap that game on as soon as we
Nets are playing right now too. Kevin Durant is back.
Well,
Jorie, how about if the Knicks win this game, you have to wear a clown suit for the next episode.
Clown suit. Where am I gonna get a clown suit?
If the Nuggets win,
If I have any Knicks gear, I'll wear on Knicks gear.
Okay.
But the Nuggets are probably gonna lose if we're being honest. This is the type of game they would lose.
Yep.
Unless
What do you mean
Jokic
type
just
of
goes
game? We're a better team than you guys are.
barely. Nah, the Knicks.
The Knicks are the best team out of all of our teams. What do you
Knicks aren't
mean?
making the playoffs.
I'll give you the respect. Knicks are nice.
What did you say, Toby? What do you got? What do you got to say for
You
yourself,
know what
Toby?
I said. You know what I
I
said.
didn't hear what you said. I didn't hear what you said. What do you
I
got to
said
say
the
for
Knicks
yourself?
are not going to make the playoffs.
Wow, we're making the playoffs.
All right, they
We're
might. They
making the
might
playoffs.
actually. I take that back. They might. They probably.
All right, here. How about
I'd
let's make a bet? $20 says they do make the playoffs.
Ooh.
make it dirty.
Ooh.
Nah,
Make
nah,
it
nah,
50.
nah, nah, nah.
Make it 50.
You still owe him for the
I don't know.
Ravens.
That's tough.
He already sent me the $20. He sent it to me.
Don't be surprised if the Pacers don't make the playoffs. Though.
Oh my gosh. I'm willing to bet that the Pacers. Actually, I don't know if I want to do that.
What are you gonna say, Jorie?
I was going to say I'm willing to bet the Pacers finish higher than the Nets in the Eastern Conference standings.
That's ridiculous.
I don't know.
I'll bet you the Hornets. The Hornets are higher than the Pacers.
Wow.
Toby, that is the
Okay, I'll
coldest-
take that bet. I'll take that bet. Put down any amount of money you want.
Nah,
You don't
the
want
Hornets
that.
are nice though.
You don't want
Stop
that.
sleeping on the Hornets.
I'm not.
They're
I'll
nice.
stop
not.
sleeping. I'll stop sleeping on the Hornets. I didn't think they'd have any chance of making the playoffs, but
I'm not even
I think they
saying-
could be an ACC.
I just think you're disrespecting the Pacers by saying that.
We know what they're about.
Do we? Do we know?
Yeah.
Sabonis? Tough.
Saboner.
Yeah, he's good. They got some nice pieces. Brogdon.
I hate that guy. I don't know why, but I hate his other guys. enough.
Brogdon's tough. Love Brogdon. Love that guy. Guy's nice. Well, I guess if that's everything, that's everything.
Mhm.
Solid. Solid stuff.
Thanks for joining us on episode 4.
Remember to follow us on social media.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks for listening.
See you for episode 5.
Yes, sir.